Today, I'm so excited to have Lauren Paige Conrad with us to talk about her debut picture book. Debut as being author and illustrator for This Is a Window. So welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell me a little bit about the journey to get to this point in your career where this is now your debut book as author and illustrator?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a background in textiles, fashion design, and product development. Um, but about 8 years ago, I really wanted to pivot, and I decided that I would just set aside like an hour each day to draw and play with art materials. And it took a few years to develop my collage style, but I feel really lucky that it's been accepted into the book world. I really feel like I'm all of a sudden in the coolest club with all of my heroes, illustrators, artists, storytellers. Yeah, so I still use a lot of what I learned as having a career in fashion and product development. I do a lot of fun textiles and clothing and all of my books. So all of that is still in there, but I love that I can use my art to tell stories to kids.
I love the fact that you're saying how you just dedicated that hour a day just to kind of get started at doing something. And that slow and steady wins the race kind of mindset that if you just can commit, get that routine in place. So it's really a great inspiration to others listening to you that you can achieve something new. Just
Absolutely.
and dedicate yourself. I love how the publisher describes this book. It says the power of a child's imagination takes center stage in this gorgeous, playful, rhyming picture book about a group of kids who build a make-believe world in their homes. I just feel it's such an important topic, especially nowadays more than ever, to really foster a child's imagination. So I'd like to have you talk a little bit about like how and why this particular theme and this particular story really resonated with you to want to tell this at this time.
Absolutely. So I am a mother. My son is 10 now. But when the idea for this book got seeded, he was at his like peak imagination and pretend stage. And I saw so much similarities between how he was functioning in the world and how my sister and I did. So I just felt like it was this universal truth that should be celebrated. Um, Somebody who described this as a window also said that it celebrates that play is the work of children. And I really believe that. I think creative play is a way that they explore their emotions, a way that they explore joy, a way that they learn how to interact with other children. Um, so it just always felt like a topic that is so universal to kids that I just really wanted to celebrate that and reflect back to them, not show them how to do it, but just show them a reflection of their creative selves.
Excellent. It's such a wonderful book. And I know sometimes people will say it's a perfect lap book, but in school, which it is, but in school, we always project everything under a document camera. So every book really becomes kind of that, a lap book in that sense that all the children can see and dissect every aspect of the illustrations. And I love the fact that you kind of prompt them to see what they see in each picture. So it's a very much an interactive experience with them. And I couldn't agree with you more about play. Play is just so critical, and it's a constant reminder not only to families, but schools need to be hearing that as well. The
Yeah.
other thing that I find interesting is the picture book. This one in particular has about 90 words. I did a quick word count, which
Wow.
is very few words when you really think about it. What is 90 words? You have one short sentence per page or double spread, but the illustrations are so essential to construct meaning for this book, which is a perfect model for what a picture book should be. As author and illustrator, I'm always curious when you do both jobs, do you see text first or do you see illustrations, pictures? Do they come to your mind first when you're creating, or is it just a simultaneous process that you can't even separate?
It's different for every book. This one, I knew I wanted to draw kids playing, but I didn't know how to tell the story. And I had a couple failed attempts at it. But then I pulled out some old classics from my bookshelf, and I specifically read A Hole is to Dig by Ruth Krauss. And it just dawned on me that I could flip the story and let the kids tell this is a window. That way, it is led by children. They are showing us their world, and we are invited into it. So I went on a walk and I wrote it, and it just came out super simply. This is a window, this is a tree, this is a hole. And then the pictures were really easy to fill in because I had my son as an example, but then I also pulled from my own childhood. Um, so playing in closets is definitely from my childhood. But my son, when he was little, he would wake up in the morning and he would decide to open a store and he would rearrange our entire house. And it would always be messy and chaotic, but he would have this little store set up. It would be an art store or a baseball court store, or something like that. So it was really easy to pull from those memories. And then my sister and I are not twins, but we are definitely reflective in these twins kind of antics. We had a bunk bed and we were always running around in
That's
laundry
funny.
baskets. So as soon as the words came, it was really easy for me to like structure it. And yeah, lots of fun too.
It's so amazing when I hear authors talk about how the story all of a sudden just comes to them. It's such a almost like a divine inspirational thing that happens.
It was. I've begun to trust that. I think this came so simply and easily, and I trust that path more now. If
Mhm.
I'm struggling through something, it's like I put it aside and trust that something else like this will
Yeah,
come.
that's a beautiful message. Now, we love it when illustrators create different art on the board cover versus the book jacket. We use an approach called the whole book approach, which came out of the Eric Carle Museum as a way of interacting with picture books. So our children are used to really dissecting peeking under the book jacket, looking at end papers, everything that can help really develop meaning. We love a mix of, full spread illustrations to panels to single out everything. So tell us a little bit more then again about your art style, particularly with this book.
Absolutely. I love that you all rip off the jackets. This one in particular has basically a seek and find guide on it. So you can point to the socks and you can flip back through the book and figure out where those happen in the book. And so you're telling more stories, you're finding more stories. Um, and, I just hope kids use it that way. Uh, my art style is all collage. So I make it all by hand. I use paint and I start out by painting white paper, a color, and then I cut all of the shapes out. All of these big blue shapes are actually the big blue elephant in the book. And then you can see this one, there's stars and flashlights. So we take all these little pieces and I glue them together. So these are the little twins from the book,
Oh,
and you can
wow.
see all the pieces that they're made of. And if I flip it around, you can see the cuts
Oh,
and what
yeah.
is glued together. So I'm using paint and I'm using colored pencil and crayon, and then gluing all of these little pieces onto a bigger background that becomes the spread of the book.
And how large typically is the original piece of art?
I do them at the same size of the book itself. So like these are sketches.
Oh,
This
okay.
is the whole sketch. And so I'm going to cut directly from this page.
You will. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And how long then was the process? Because it seems pretty tedious to make this book, illustration wise.
It is. I made the final art in 3 to 4 months.
Wow, that's
Yeah. The
really
whole process takes about a year from like idea to sketching to editing. And then I try to do art in about 3 to 4 months.
great. And it's interesting with you having that can you find piece under the book jacket because it seems like it's such a great piece of real estate. Like, why not take advantage of using that opportunity to have something else underneath the book jacket? We're always disappointed when there isn't any art there. We're like, darn
I
it.
know. It's my favorite thing. I'm like, kids, take off the jacket. I
I
hope you find
know.
something.
We've gotten to a point now, being a library, that we have obviously the Mylar covers, but we don't attach it completely anymore so that the kids can peel it back. Because I'm like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'd rather have
Good
them
on
have the
you.
experience than worrying about losing one, and it hasn't happened yet. So
Yeah.
With summer vacation then approaching at this time of year for us, this book is perfect for families to really encourage imagination, creativity. Are there any other books you'd like to recommend to families for summer reading? That could be ones even from your own childhood.
Absolutely. I will say that I have a follow-up to This Is a Window coming out called This Is Our City. It's a different group of kids, but it follows the same format. So the pictures really tell the story. The kids lead you through an imaginary world that they built in their backyard. So their city is called Cat Pine Falls, and they have things like cafes, little ice cream cones, and they've got markets where you can buy things. And sorry, this is a mock up of it, but they build everything out of things you can find outside. So it's super accessible. It's perfect for summer, perfect for running around in the backyard, just using sticks and rocks.
Perfect.
My other favorite summer story is Today by Julie Morstad. And this book, again, is kind of a pick your own journey book. So we read this almost every single day with my son. And it starts out like, what will we do today? What outfit will I pick out? What hairstyle will I have today? And so it goes through all these choices. And really, every single time we read it with my son, he would choose a different journey and he would just dive into his own little imagination. And so I think it can definitely lead to creative, imaginative play, but I also think it can just take you on that journey while you're reading it too, by yourself or with your grown up.
Well, thank you for spending time with us. We look forward to whatever comes next. Do you have anything you can tease us with beyond the book you just showed us?
I'm working on another one just as an illustrator. It hasn't been announced yet, but hopefully really soon.
Okay, good. We will keep our eyes out on your name. All right,
Amazing.
great. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you, Jane.